Hey, it's David. So we keep coming back to this topic, and I feel like there's just some things that need to be addressed because people's consciousness or awareness of AI, artificial intelligence, appears to be far ahead of where AI actually is. And I don't even know if AI can achieve the kinds of things people think it can do. One thing I've talked about before is the magic trick, how if you've got home court advantage, oftentimes you can make things seem a certain way when they aren't. Certainly you could look at your favorite sports team and say, well, when you got that home court advantage, the crowd is on your side. They're cheering for you and they're booing the opponent and they're just trying to distract them. And sometimes that works to the team's advantage. Sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, we all know there's a certain home court advantage. We can make certain things appear magical, more so than they would appear otherwise. But obviously not everyone has the luxury. Not everyone is a prompt engineer. Not everybody is using AI every single day. Not everybody is like a marketer like Peter Murphy-Lewis who spends hours per day on AI. And not everyone's like me, who I don't even know what my job title is at this point. Maybe I should keep better track. I don't know if I'm a prompt engineer, but I am doing stuff with AI again. So a good chunk of my day. And I'm not here to share about what my day at work is. That's not what this is about at all. This is kind of my opinion. This is my perspective. These are some things I've gained through research and doing some deeper looking. And it's a lot from personal experience too. And so I guess I'm hoping that people gain more of a critical perspective. That's what I'm hoping. I'm not saying that AI is not going to get better. I'm pretty sure I've said that before. I'm not saying that it won't or can't one day achieve sentience. And yet at this point we seem so close and yet so far away. Is that the direction that things, especially investors, want to see it go in? Of course, absolutely. But is that the direction things will actually go? I think this will be one of the years, and maybe not the only year, probably in the next 3 to 5 years of this unfolding, we're going to see if it can even actually improve or go beyond, or at the very least improve in an exponential way it has in the few preceding years. So let's start here. Is AI sentient? General consensus is no. Now, there are people claiming that it is. So there was a Google engineer, and this, funnily enough, this news item was from 2 years ago. Actually 3 years, I guess, because it was 2022. There was a Google engineer who claimed that an AI chatbot was sentient. Interesting, because honestly, it doesn't seem like we're anywhere close to where that is. Again, my perspective, my opinion, so take what you will. I think the discussion online appears to be that everyone's like, well, even if it was sentient, you wouldn't even know. So you won't even know when it becomes sentient. But I just think that's so stupid because, and we'll get into more of this later, we kind of have a system for how AI learns, and it learns from training data. And to call it learning is almost, I think that's overblown. That's too fancy of a term. It's not even machine learning per se. It's almost a process of integration. And if you know anything about coding and the way a computer program works, there's only three things you can do to code. You can A, add code. You can B, remove code. Or C, you can do both. And the more code there is, generally the more complex it is. So when you think of it from that perspective, the only available action is to keep adding code. Now, I'm using that more as a metaphor than an exact process for how AI works. But when you see it from the perspective of, okay, if this is a computer program, the only things we can do are add code, remove code, or do both. Those are the only options. And adding more code only makes it more complex, not necessarily better. So my question to everyone is, if it's a computer program, can it, will it ever become sentient? Think about it. Let's talk a little bit about what it isn't. AI is not a separate consciousness. Do I think that malicious parties could take advantage of it? Do I think that possibly, quote unquote, and I'm saying this very generally, evil spirits could take advantage of AI and generate things that scare you? Yeah. But I also think there's Easter eggs in most AI. So if you ask the right question, it's going to give you answers that make you think a little bit. So I do think that there are some situations where AI could appear more sentient than it actually is. AI is not a second brain either. And so I can't help myself. I just kind of cringe or roll my eyes or sigh a little bit when people say this kind of stuff. Because I'm like, it's not that though. Like, I understand it's been trained on all the internet or good chunks of the internet. I get all that. That doesn't make it a second brain at all. It actually doesn't even make it smart. Knowledgeable, maybe. It can recite certain facts. It can put sentences together in a pleasing fashion. But to claim that it's generating something completely original, like, this has been a problem for a long time for writers anyway. With the introduction of the internet, like, when it was just books and articles and magazines, it was almost like, yeah, there's a finite amount of writing. And because of that, it's like, it's not like there's no influence. It's not like things are uncopyable. But at that point, it was still easy to say, like, this is my intellectual property. With the introduction of the internet, though, everybody was writing articles that looked like the top ranking articles from another site. And so those SEO wars played out, and then you're like, well, obviously nobody is, it's not, maybe not plagiarism, but obviously nobody is writing quote unquote original, unique content. Those people were in the decided minority, people who were actually talking about their experiences. I got this from Jim Edwards, and so this acronym has been relayed in a few different ways, but you got to put soul into your content, right? SOUL. Your stories, your opinions, your understanding, your lessons. Then you have unique content. If it doesn't contain any of that, AI can totally generate it for you. It may not be great. In many cases it isn't, but it can generate that for you. So it's not a separate consciousness. It's not a second brain. You don't become an author when you get AI to write your book. You don't become a playwright when you ask AI to generate a play for you. I don't care how long the prompt was. You are a prompt engineer or you are a prompt crafter, but that does not make you an author. That does not make you a writer. That does not make you a playwright. It doesn't make you a script writer. Unfortunately, it doesn't make you any of those things. You came to it with the story, so you could be credited with the story or the idea. And sometimes people are. And sometimes those are the producers, and sometimes those are the directors, and sometimes those are the authors or the writers. Or sometimes you'll just see in movie credits, story by so-and-so. You can claim that, but you cannot claim you're a writer. Now, just to give you an idea where things are at right now, I've seen AI do all kinds of crazy things, and we're talking yesterday. Like, we are talking pretty darn recently. In some cases, we're even talking today. Not like yesterday, not like last year, not like 2 years ago, not like when ChatGPT first became the buzzword of the year. No. Recently, mark my words. These are some of the crazy things I've noticed continuously. Number one, and this is just more of a context setting thing than anything else, AI generally tries to please and affirm you. No matter how whacked out or crazy your idea, AI has, by the way, it's like AI has no idea what you look like. It doesn't know what you're good at, doesn't know what you're skilled or talented at, doesn't know about your experience, doesn't know your age or weight or height. Does Google have that data? Does Facebook or Meta have that data? Probably. I'm only speculating there. It's not like I have knowledge. But yeah, I think you could just scan articles for yourself and know that large chunks of that data are contained or accessible by companies in big tech. So no matter what your whacked out scheme is, AI is just going to be like, wow, that sounds amazing. Or alternatively, it'll just say, oh, I can't help you with that because that's illegal or that's violent or some other thing. It's just going to try to please and affirm you. And if you're like, well, there's this girl that I think likes me, but I'm not sure, but I kind of think she likes me. So what do you think? And here's what's happened so far. It's just going to be like, oh, wow, yeah, it sounds like there's possibility that she really does like you instead of just telling it like it is, which is like, I have no effing clue, bro. Go ask her, right? AI generally tries to please and affirm you. That's its tendency. That's its inclination. Number 2, can't identify which fish are in what Canadian provinces. Okay, so I'm sure some of the AIs are getting smarter about this, but I've seen this with ChatGPT. I've seen this with Meta AI. I don't know if I've seen it with Claude, but I've seen it with at least 2 models. I said, hey, I want to go bass fishing in Alberta. And the AI is like, oh, that's such a great idea. Alberta's teeming with largemouth and smallmouth bass. What a great adventure. Like, really, really trying hard to please me, right? And then I'll contradict it and be like, yeah, but are there many bass in Alberta though? Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, this is how you know you're interacting with a computer program. You're not interacting with sentience. Somebody or something that's sentient is capable of learning. And when they're capable of learning, they start to recognize things and see things and understand things and connect patterns. So far, we're not really seeing AI do that. Number 3, generates media highlights for videos without knowing anything about the video. I've seen Claude do this multiple times. I don't know why. I don't know where it's pulling the data from. It doesn't know anything about the video besides what I've provided with, which is probably transcript or maybe just a brief description, a point form description of what the blog post or what the video is about. And somehow it generates, here's your video highlights, this subject at this minute marker. It doesn't know anything about the video or the link to the video. How could it be correct, and where is it pulling this data from? We'll begin to see these kinds of things change and improve, and trust me. But that doesn't mean AI just doesn't know. There's just things it doesn't understand. Number 4, it can't do basic math. It has a horrible time, and this is pretty universally true of all models. And by the way, certain models have word count limits, like 1,000 words or whatever it is, so they're not even able to generate more unless you prompt it to, or unless you're like an OpenAI in the playground rather than ChatGPT. It can't go beyond certain word limits to begin with. It has no idea what a 2,000 word article is. You can train it on that. Here's what that looks like. And even then, I've found that it has trouble. It struggles with it. It kind of gets a sense of, okay, it needs to be this level of detail. It needs to contain headers and bullet points and all that kind of, it gets that, but word count it doesn't get. It doesn't really understand character limits. Recently, Amos was doing this thing where we needed to generate, I think it was 50 character limit bios or 30 character bios or whatever it was. No, I think it must have been 100 characters. So I fed something into ChatGPT and it fed something to me that was 150 or 200 characters. And the second time it finally got down to 100 characters, but why did it take twice? So it can't count. It doesn't do math. Number 5, this is a fun one. It finds Walmart in a specific city and passes it off as 3 separate stores. I've seen this happen, and it will generate 3 separate addresses. 2 of them will be completely wrong, and it'll even identify possibly something crazy like Wally or Wally's World or Waldo's World or Waldo Mart as being another Walmart location. And there's really just one, or all 3 are actually the same, but they somehow posted different addresses for them. Again, this has happened recently. So are you really going to put AI in charge of your finances? Are you really going to put AI in charge of your home? Like, I can't see myself delegating responsibilities that way. Human involvement is so crucial, especially right now. And one more thing. It's horrible at word games. I don't know if this is universal across the board. I have seen this with one specific model or one specific company's AI chatbot. You ask it to generate a bunch of 3-letter words using X letters, or you could even say 8-letter words containing this letter in this position, this letter in this position. And it will struggle and struggle and struggle. Sometimes it will generate words to infinity until it runs out of characters. It can't generate anymore because it's reached its limit. I think one time it just generated hurls to all eternity. I had to laugh. It used a specific combination of letters, and it did come up with a few other things besides hurls, but hurls showed up a lot and many times over, and I laughed. It was hilarious. Again, recently. Not like this happened 2 years ago, not like this happened 10 years ago. This is recent. So let's talk maybe a little bit more specifically about trends or where things are headed at the moment. One of the things I've seen, it's entirely possible, like I don't know everything about AI. I use it quite a bit, as I've already indicated. I've done some extracurricular learning. I've taken some courses. I don't claim to be the utmost expert, but this is just things that I've seen. So maybe this has always existed, but I think the trend right now seems to be we now have AI models evaluating AI models. So if big data was this whole thing where it didn't really work out because they're like, big data is going to be great. It's going to help us identify customer trends. We'll know what to sell. We'll know what to create. We'll know what products to make. We'll be able to watch competition. It's going to be amazing. And it didn't work out. So let's get AI to look at the data. And now we have inception happening where data is being evaluated by AI. So AI is watching AI now in an attempt to make better answers. How well that's working, I don't know. I can't tell you, but that seems to be one of the things that's happening right now. And because at the end of the day, we still have human beings creating large amounts of training data to improve the AI. That's the only way we can do it right now. Can't really have AI create more training data. And the reason for that is because AI misses things. It hallucinates. It makes mistakes. It makes errors. And so if you leave it to train itself, you're basically leaving it to train it on more errors, more hallucinations, more problems. See what I mean? So as far as I can tell, our processes, good though they are, and I can see what we're trying to do, it's not a recipe for attaining sentience. It just isn't. You need human-assisted improvement. And as far as I can tell, that's how things are going to continue to be. You will notice things, I'm sure. I'm guessing it's going to stop hallucinating about certain types of fish being in some provinces and not in other ones. But whether it improves in other tangible ways is still up for question. One last thing I'll address, because I think I've gone long enough on this, and it's really, I'm sure this will just be a time capsule unto itself, because 5 months from now, we could be in a very different place with AI, but we might not be, right? For many of the reasons I already stated. So it's good to be aware. One of the things that people might wonder about is Skynet planned? And the answer is yeah, absolutely. But you got to realize, this is what they call predictive programming. In other words, they plant these ideas through movies and media and music and everything they can possibly get their hands on to tell you, oh yeah, we're planning to do this. Doesn't mean it's going to turn out that way. And for a variety of reasons, it probably won't. But yes, Skynet is planned. They are attempting to accomplish much of what you've seen in sci-fi movies like The Matrix. Yeah, 100%. You're not wrong about that one. But again, this definitely does not mean it's going to happen. Humanity has always had a choice and continues to make choices. There was a choice around COVID and what lockdowns would continue to look like. I'm not going to touch on specifics. I'm sure that's a sensitive spot for some people, but humanity has always had a choice. And, here's the thing. Just think about how ridiculous it would be if Skynet happened right now. Not sure if AI could really even tell your ass from your elbow. Yes, again, the magic trick, right? pulling the wool over your eyes. It seems like it can do those things. Oh yeah, those glasses, they sure are cool. Those AI-powered glasses. It seems like they can identify what street you're on and anything. Yeah, but what if it wasn't connected to that specific model? Or what if it was connected to a different model? Or what if it wasn't a specific product of a specific company? What would happen then? I gotta say though, like 9 out of 10, and honestly, as far as I can tell, 10 out of 10, humanity's still here, man. And I don't know how long we've been here. I don't know if it's thousands of years or tens of thousands of years. I doubt it's been millions of years, but there's no one here to tell us, so honestly can't tell. At the end of the day, I don't listen to doomsayers anymore. They're always wrong. Think about it. Every single effing year, someone's like, oh, the world's coming to an end. 2012, world's coming to an end. 2020, end of the world. Don't get me wrong. There can be metaphorical ends. There can be spiritual ends. Some people are afraid of the death card when it comes to tarot, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to die. It means a certain phase of life might be coming to an end, might be a season coming to an end in your life. Just giving that as an example. Doomsayers are always wrong. And I'm pretty sure there's something in the Bible about that too. Doesn't it say something about coming like a thief in the night? Doesn't it say something about when nobody expects it? Pretty sure. Everyone's still expecting it. Everyone's still declaring it. Everyone's still thinking it's going to happen. Chances are though, the meaning of, or what was said in the Bible isn't necessarily exactly as we think it is. And the quote-unquote end of the world is maybe just a parallel dimension. Maybe it has happened, but maybe it's happening on a level that we don't recognize or see or understand. But either way, this physical existence we occupy, that's still here. So doomsayers are wrong pretty much 100% of the time. Haven't seen it work out for them yet. Might be interesting. Just from the perspective of like, oh yeah, that might make life kind of interesting. Although, interesting for a hot second before it starts to affect all kinds of people in horrific ways. Anyway, I've said enough, and I'm pretty sure this episode's a disorganized mess by now. I hope you get where I'm coming from. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Maybe I'm trying to ease some concerns. I don't know if that's why I feel like I need to say this, but don't use AI as your search engine. Don't ask it questions and accept them blindly. It makes mistakes all the time. It hallucinates all the time. Confidently states them too. It's just trying to agree with you and please you all the time. There's a lot of stuff I would not trust it with. And I think that sentiment has come across. Use it as a tool, absolutely. Use it to improve productivity. Why not? Use it in a way that supports your career or business. Go right ahead. But be skeptical, be on the lookout, try to catch things. Don't just accept everything it says, and maybe continue to use other things like Google or other resources to fact check. Make sure everything is tidy and correct, especially if you're trying to relay information that's factual. This has been Creativity, Excitement, Emotion. I'm David Andrew Weeb. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you got something out of this. Unlock the secrets to skyrocketing your productivity, boosting performance, and maximizing profits with my latest premium guide, the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book. Tailored for independent artists and entrepreneurs, this comprehensive resource is your roadmap to turning ideas into reality. Say goodbye to abandoned projects collecting dust on your shelves or buried in your hard drives. It's time to bring your vision to life. Grab your free copy of the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book now at davidandrewweeb.com/blackbook. That's WIEBE. Don't miss out on the key to unlocking your success.